Start?
Yeah.
Okay. So today we start our final market structure oligopoly. Okay. We've got perfect competition with many sellers. We have monopolistic competition with many sellers, but differentiated products as opposed to homogeneous products. Okay, and we have monopoly where there's only one firm. Okay, so where oligopoly differs is in that there are a few firms. There aren't many firms. There isn't just one firm. There are a few. What a few means is dependent on the industry. It could be two. We call it a duopoly, right? But it could be as many as 6 or 7 or 8. Okay, but not hundreds and thousands. Okay, so that would be kind of the difference between oligopoly and monopolistic competition. And oligopoly, the goods would be differentiated too. Okay, they could be homogeneous, but they can also be differentiated. Typically, they will be slightly differentiated. Okay, so well, the way I want to sort of teach this is I'm going to go through very quickly collusive oligopoly because it's easy, and then I'm going to teach one way of analyzing oligopoly through what we call game theory. Okay, so quickly, collusive oligopoly essentially means this. Okay, like in the questions I have here, the problem of the day for today. The first problem, the first question is to graph a situation of oligopoly where the oligopolists can collude perfectly. It means that they never cheat on any agreement. They make an agreement and they stick to it. So collusion means working together to set prices and quantities. It's cooperating, right? So it's different companies working together to sort of try to find the best price and best quantity in the market that will sort of make the outcome for all of them collectively the best it can be. Okay, now you can think about an example of this as something like OPEC. Okay, so OPEC isn't companies, it's countries, right, producing oil. Okay, but what do? Occasionally they get together, right, in some city, the oil ministers of the various countries of OPEC, and they look at the price in the market, and they try to determine whether that price is too high, meaning they're not selling enough, right, or too low, right, meaning they're selling a lot of oil, but they're not getting as much revenue as they could, okay, or where it's just right, okay. Take the 3 bears. And then they make a determination. If it's too high, if the price is too high, okay, they're going to increase oil output. They make an agreement to increase oil output, which would increase the supply of oil and drive the price down. Or they agree to, if the price is too low, to restrict oil output, causing the supply to decrease and the price to go up. That's collusion, that's cooperation, okay? And it's in the interest of businesses to do this, right? As they can increase their revenues and increase their profits, depending on what the price is, if they're either lower or higher, higher or lower. The problem is for businesses that it's not legal. Okay, so for countries, OPEC can do this because they're countries; they make the laws, right? But for businesses, most countries prohibit that kind of collusion because it's not in the interest of consumers. It's obviously in the interest of businesses, but not consumers. Okay, and it's anti-competitive, and so there are laws called antitrust laws which could prevent that from happening typically. Okay, but we do know that businesses want to do this. Okay, and so if they could, okay, if businesses could collude and collude perfectly, meaning they don't cheat on the collusion, then essentially what you would have is what? A monopoly. Right? If you have two businesses that are competing against one another, right? Say Coke and Pepsi, right? If the CEO of Coke and the CEO of Pepsi were able to cooperate with one another, what they would try to do is collectively maximize profits. And so what they would want is the monopoly outcome. right? They want to set the monopoly or restrict quantity to the monopoly quantity, which would cause the price to rise to the monopoly price. That would maximize profits in the industry, and then somehow they would split those profits. Okay? That would obviously be better than the competitive outcome, where they would have to charge a lower price as they competed against one another. So when you get this question, number one, draw the graph. The graph for a collusive oligopoly, where the oligopolists can collude perfectly, is just a monopoly graph. Okay? Draw the monopoly graph, show the monopoly profits, and state that the monopolists would split or share the profits somehow through some kind of an agreement. Okay? Coke takes 60%, Pepsi takes 40% of it, 50-50 or whatever it is. What next?
What about in an oligopoly where there's a variable demand, so one product has a higher demand because they're differentiated, and then they can, so suppose I'm Pepsi, I can charge more for my Pepsi than you can for Coke. So wouldn't I benefit more if I charge more?
Can we ask these questions after we're done videotape?
Can.
Yeah, okay. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep this as short as I can. I'm going to cut this out. But good question. I don't want to answer it, but I want to sort of keep this simple and short. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Right. So coming back to this, now someone's going to teach me how to cut that out. All right, so back to this. Number two. Okay. So then it's kind of hard to analyze oligopoly. With only a few firms, with many firms, I don't care what any other business is doing. They have such a small fraction of the market that their behavior has almost no effect on my behavior. Okay, I really don't care. All I care about are my costs and the potential of revenue I can get from selling my product, and that's almost my entire calculation about what to produce, how much to produce, and so forth and so on has to do with my own individual circumstances. Okay, but with oligopoly, where there's only a few firms, I need to think about if I'm Coke, I need to think about what Pepsi's going to do. Because when Pepsi changes its output or changes its price, that has a big impact on me. Okay? Although our products aren't exactly the same, they're close enough, right? That if Pepsi makes a big change, that's going to affect me. Also, if Pepsi restricts output, that's going to cause, because they have a big enough fraction of the market in terms of sales, they restrict output, that's going to cause the price in the market to rise. And I have to think about that, right? I have to consider Pepsi's behavior in terms of price and quantity when I make my own decisions about price and quantity. So instead of a situation in the market where businesses are independent of one another, like you have with monopolistic competition, perfect competition, and of course with monopoly there's only one firm, so there are no other firms to consider. With oligopoly, you have a situation of interdependence, where you have a strategic situation. In order for me to make a decision about my price and my quantity, I must consider what other businesses are going to do. Okay? So in strategic situations, we tend to use a model or a way of thinking or a series of models known as game theory. Okay? So when we talk about, we define a game as a strategic situation. Anytime you have more than one person where their decisions are dependent on one another, where they're interdependent, okay, you have a game, right? You can think about just any game you've ever played, just about, right? You play soccer. My decisions about what to do have a lot to do with what I think the opposing team is going to do, right? Monopoly. My decisions about what to do have something to do with what I think the other players in the game are going to do. Even like curfew with your parents is a game, right? Do I break curfew? Well, I break curfew if I think mom and dad won't punish me. Right? That's strategic. If mom and dad, if I consider mom and dad's behavior, I say, hey, mom and dad aren't going to punish me, right? Well, maybe I stay out. That's curfew, right? That's a game too, okay? So we use game theory to analyze these kinds of situations. Oligopoly is this kind of situation. So here's the problem that it's on the website, the problem of the day. And a lot of the problems you'll get on the AP exam related to oligopoly, in fact, almost all of them in the FRQ section will be like this one. So, you have typically always on the exam, you can have two businesses. Okay? In this case, you got two airlines, Granite and American. The airline industry is relatively oligopolistic, right? There are a relatively restricted number of firms. There aren't thousands and thousands of firms, okay? But there isn't one firm either, so you have an oligopoly. Okay, in this case, you have a duopoly, American Granite. Okay? So the question goes, suppose each company can charge either a high price or a low price. Those are called their strategies. Okay, so that's terminology that you need to know. The low price is $100. The high price is $200. So when you're drawing a game theory matrix, which you may have to do on the AP exam, okay, you put one player here, American, and one player here, Granite, and circle. Okay, and then you will be given two strategies. Each should have two strategies. The strategies go here, outside this 2x2 matrix. Okay, so the two strategies that both firms have in this case are to go low, $100, or go high, $200. Same thing with Granite, go low or go high. Okay. Okay, if one company charges $100, it earns low profits if the other company charges $100 also. You go over here. I've plotted those sort of payoffs in the matrix. So let me explain it. If American charges $100, a low price, while Braniff charges $100, a low price, okay, they both get a low payoff. I'm putting numbers in here. I put my own numbers in here just so I can make it clear to you. Okay, I'm going to clean this up in a second for you. So I'm saying that if American charges $100 and Braniff charges $100, then American makes a $10 profit and Braniff makes a $10 profit. Okay, so what you have in here, these numbers in here, are called payoffs. Now, payoffs can be lots of things. In our examples, typically they're profits. They represent profits. Okay, you could sort of use game theory to analyze whether kids study for tests or not and stuff, and then their payoffs would be grades in there and stuff like that. But for our purposes, the payoffs are profits. Okay? So we're saying if they both charge $100, they both make a $10 profit. Okay? Now, just clean it up so it's clear. That's $10 and $10. When you see a matrix like this, or if you draw a matrix like this, okay, the payoffs go like this. This 10 on the left goes over here to American, goes to the player on the left. The payoff on the right in every bin goes to the player at the top. Okay? So here, American gets a $10 profit if they both charge $100, and Braniff gets a $10 profit if they both charge $100. Okay? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, it earns high profits if the other company charges $200. So, so if American charges $100, uses the low price strategy, while Braniff charges 200. What's going to happen here is that American's going to steal sales from Braniff. Okay? They're making products which might be slightly differentiated, okay, but still are basically the same product. Okay? And so, when if American charges 100 while Braniff charges 200, people are going to say, I'm going to buy the lower price good. Okay, so most people are going to buy from American Airlines, buy tickets from American Airlines. Some will still buy from Braniff because they have some sort of loyalty to the brand. Okay? But nevertheless, Braniff is going to lose sales. And so we assume then that American's profits are going to rise while Braniff's profits will fall in this situation. Okay? American makes high profits and Braniff makes very low profits. Okay, so I've used 50 and 5 there for the numbers. So American makes a $50 profit, while Braniff makes a $5 profit. Okay? And then the situation here is going to be the same. If Braniff charges the low price, while American charges the high price, Braniff steals sales from American. Braniff does very well. American does very poorly. Okay, so we can just put those payoffs in this bin here. 5 and 50, $5 profit to American, $50 profit to Braniff. Okay, now, if they both charge the high price, then they make medium profits. So I've used $35 profit as the medium profit. So here, if they both charge 200, American makes 35, and Braniff makes 35. Okay. This is the best outcome for the firms. Okay? And you can see, if they both go low, collectively they make $20. If one goes high while the other goes low, collectively they make $55. Better than 20, right? Collectively. But it's only better for one business, right? The business that goes low gets a really big profit, while the business that goes high gets a profit which is less than if they both went low. Okay? Here it's 55 again, and if they both go high, the collective profit is $70. That's the monopoly outcome. Okay, this is the biggest profit they can make. Okay? So think about what's going to happen here. Okay? So we're answering this question. Draw a payoff matrix, or sometimes it's called a decision box, for this game. That's it. Okay? Except if you got this on an AP exam, you wouldn't use numbers, you'd use the actual words like medium, very low, high, and so forth and so on. Okay? I'll put the numbers in to make it clearer. Okay? Okay, so let me explain how this game works, how you analyze this on an exam. Okay, so you look at this and you say, okay, if I were American Airlines, what would I do? If I knew for sure that Braniff was going to charge $100. You think about that for a second without saying anything. Think about that. What if you were American and you knew for sure Braniff was going to charge $100? If you charge $100, you make a $10 profit because you're in this column here, right here. And if you charge $200, you make a $5 profit. So you would choose the low price. Okay? And so when I do this analysis, I underline that. Okay? Then I ask myself the question, if I'm American and I know for sure that Braniff's going to go high, what do I go? What do I choose? Well, if I choose $100, I get a $50 profit. If I choose $200, I get a $35 profit. So I'm also going to choose the low price there at $100. I underline that again. If there are two lines under 100, I know that this is what's called the American's dominant strategy, so it's vocabulary you need to know. If there's a strategy that the firm would undertake, no matter what the other firm does, that's called a dominant strategy. So for American, you would say that $100 is its dominant strategy. Okay. If you do this analysis for Braniff, you'll find the same thing. Okay, that no matter what American does, charges $100, its choice is between the $10 profit and the $5 profit, so it chooses 100. Okay, and if American's going to go 200, and its choices are between 50 and 35, so it's going to want the 50 and charge $100. And so for Braniff, $100 is also its dominant strategy. Okay, now, if that's the case, then the outcome of this game is this. That both companies will charge $100 and both will make a $10 profit. That's what we call the natural outcome. Bless you. That's what we call the natural outcome of this game. Okay? And now let me explain the concept of Nash equilibrium. Okay. This is also what we call a Nash equilibrium. Okay, John Nash was the mathematician who was one of the original sort of founders of game theory. His ideas were some of the first ideas which formed the discipline of game theory that became used to define oligopoly. Okay, or to analyze oligopoly. There's a movie about him called Beautiful Mind. Have you seen A Beautiful Mind? Great movie. If you've seen A Beautiful Mind is about John Nash, right? And so the Nash equilibrium is named for Nash. He's the one who came up with that idea. Okay, so what is a Nash equilibrium? A Nash equilibrium is a stable outcome, which is what an equilibrium is, right? It's a point at which there is no tendency to change, right? Okay, so here, if I'm American and I know that Braniff has gone 100, am I going to change my strategy? No, because I would go from a $10 profit to a $5 profit. And the same thing with Braniff here. Okay, if I know for sure that American's going 100, I'm not going to change my strategy. I'm going to stick with 100. So if you're both currently charging $100, this is what we call a stable outcome or a Nash equilibrium, where neither player would change his decision or change his strategy knowing what the other player is doing. Okay, now, this is not what we call an efficient outcome or the Pareto efficient outcome. The Pareto efficient outcome is the outcome where the payoffs are greatest. Okay? So Pareto efficiency, for example, in production possibilities is on the frontier of the production possibilities graph, right? On the production possibilities curve, right? If you're on the frontier, you're producing as much as you possibly can. Okay? That's the best outcome. That's Pareto efficiency. In supply and demand, it's at the intersection of supply and demand where the output is greatest. Okay? In this model, the Pareto efficient outcome is where the payoffs are highest collectively. So that would be here. This would be the Pareto efficient outcome. Okay? And we would assume that the players are going to try to get to this outcome. And so the question is, how would they do it?
Collusion.
Collusion, right, by colluding, okay? And so what they would have to do is get together on the golf course, right, the CEO of Braniff and the CEO of American, because it's not legal, right? So they get together on the golf course and they're, hitting some shots and stuff, and you can tell I'm not very good at golf, to be honest, Mr. Smith. So they're playing golf, and afterwards they go in and they, have a drink or something like that, and they're sitting down and they say, hey, so what are you charging for a ticket from Chicago to Boston? And I said, oh, we're kind of thinking that 200 maybe. I don't know, I'm just thinking, yeah. And the guy from American says, oh, I'm just wondering. We'll see you later. And then tomorrow they're both charging $200 for a ticket. Okay? And, right? And that's a better outcome. They were making $10 profits, now they're making $35 profits each. Okay? Okay, so that's sort of collusion without collusion. Right? Okay? And there's lots of different ways that this can happen. Sometimes one business is seen as a leader in the industry. Maybe Coke. Right? So if Coke is seen as a leader in the industry, all the other businesses can just sort of base their prices on Coke's price. And once that's understood in the industry, Coke will set a price that is like the $200 price here. Okay? And there are other ways, just meeting on the golf course. Right? Okay, and kind of implying what you'll charge for services. Okay? In any case, let's say they get to this. Tomorrow, the day after they golf, both of them are charging $200 for a ticket from Chicago to Boston, and now they're making $35 profits each. This is great, except it's not stable. Right? If Braniff knows that America is going to be charging $200 tomorrow, what will they do in the morning? Lower their price and go from a $35 profit to a $50 profit. They'll change their strategy. And the same thing for American if it knows that Braniff is going to be charging the higher price. It will undercut Braniff, go to the lower price, and improve their profits from 35 to 50. And so this is an unstable outcome. It's not a Nash equilibrium. This is a Nash equilibrium. This is not a Nash equilibrium because this is stable and this is not stable. Okay? And that's it.